The Ultimate Universe explores a different and darker reality of Marvel Avengers. Here we get to witness major characters being reinvented with new backstories, powers, and morals. Whether it's covert operations, political drama, or superhuman battles, the group of heroes and anti-heroes is brought together in weird ways. This universe shows the different realities and thought processes of these characters, and their choices in different situations. Let's dive into the backstories of these characters of Ultimate Universe and explore their powers. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Avengers from Ultimate Universe. The Project Avengers is slightly hidden from the common audience. Everyone knows it's a covert operation with Hawkeye and Black Widow as its members. Project Avengers was started by Nick Fury in an attempt to get back Captain America. Captain America had an illegitimate son, the Red Skull, whom he got to know about recently. Cap was advised to drop this mission. However, he didn't pay heed to it. The team went to get Captain America back from France. They were also directed to stop AIM from further constructing the Cosmic Cube. Things took a turn when Red Skull took the Cosmic Cube. He had betrayed the AIM and took the cube for himself. The Avengers got there to find Red Skull holding the cube and turning Alaskan-based soldiers and agents against each other. However, the Avengers still put up a fight against Red Skull. Their efforts were quite futile as the cube made him untouchable. Later, the Avengers were successful in diverting Red Skull's attention. They were waiting for Cap to arrive and defeat his illegitimate son. However, Skull ended up in the hospital and was shot dead by Petro Laskov. This whole schema of Red Skull was made by Nick Fury himself. It was a ploy to get the Avengers together so he could get back into his role in S.H.I.E.L.D. Later, Punisher and Tyron Cash joined the bandwagon of the Avengers to fight off the new enemy, Ghost Rider. The team fought against Ghost Rider at Chicago Airport first, and then immediately left for Washington, D.C. The Vice President had 20 years ago, along with a team, killed John Blaze and his fiancée, in part and parcel of a sacrificial ritual for power. It was believed that the Vice President was next targeted, as he was the only one left on the team. Mephisto appeared amidst all the drama and converted the VP into vengeance. He wanted the VP to be resilient enough to fight off the Ghost Rider. He told the VP that Ghost Rider had betrayed his followers long ago. Vengeance and Ghost Rider got into a massive fight. Punisher finally came over there and killed the Vice President Blackthorn for good. Blade comes to know about the uprising of a new vampire army. All the vampires throughout the country were plotting to join this army. He also learned that Anthony was leading them. Anthony wanted to create superhumans to protect himself from harm. Meanwhile, an enthusiastic Banner pleads with Cap to be transferred to the Ultimates. Cap dismisses his plea altogether and calls him incompetent. Banner checks out from Triskelion to cool off his mind. He chanced upon the book signing event of his favorite author. Anthony finds Banner over there and bites him and turns him. Anthony, the leader of the Vamp Army, was also seen wearing Iron Man's old stolen armor for safety purposes. In another set of events, we witness people getting turned more and more by the vampire group. It seems like they were trying to increase their army. Other flashy events taking place in the news were a teenager, Raymond, who lost his eyesight in an accident. Daredevil then visited him and asked to be his mentor. Raymond successfully completes his training under Daredevil and succeeds him to become the new Daredevil. However, one fateful day during their training, a group of vampires attacks them, and both of them were turned. Meanwhile, the Avengers learn about Banner's disappearance. Captain America and the Avengers start to look for him. They end up in Manhattan, where the newly turned Daredevil, i.e. Raymond, was seen injured. Daredevil pretends to be injured, instigating the Captain to step closer to look at him. The Daredevil turned vampire bites Cap and infects him with the vampire virus. Every member of the Avengers. Black Widow, Monica Chang. Monica Chang was the ex-wife of Nick Fury. Nick Fury had saved her from enemies in Bosnia, and she instantly fell in love with him. They got married, but then got divorced in 6 months. Fury failed to be a devoted husband and had slept with all of Monica's friends and even her mother. This led to differences between them and ultimately their brutal separation. In her professional sphere, she was tasked with the arrest of Captain America. She played this role quite actively during the mission. When she joined the new Ultimates team, she faced the direct repercussions of Fury's actions. Apparently, Fury was involved in leaking S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secrets to outside parties. Later, when Fury was reinstated to his position at S.H.I.E.L.D., he hired Monica back into the Ultimates team. She came back along with her child to Triskelion. Nick Fury also actively helped her team in fighting the Children of Tomorrow. However, the President ordered a seizure of their team, and Monica ran off, along with Hawkeye and Falcon. She was later caught by the authorities. When the leader of the opposing team was defeated, the Ultimates were reinstated. She was later selected as the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. by Rogers. During her acting position, she was indicted in court for failing to protect Earth from the attack of Galactus. Powers and abilities. Monica has, as such, no tangible superpowers. She is immensely able as a fighter. Her training is attributed to being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She's quite strong in her martial arts and marksmanship skills. Upon assuming the position as Director of Martial Arts and Marksmanship, she proved herself justly by making assertive decisions and executing leadership. Apart from that, her investigative skills, observation skills, and strength are quite notable. Nick Fury. Fury fought for the US during World War II. He was selected for Project Rebirth as a test subject. This serum gave him great strength. He used it to break free from the facility along with the others. Fury succeeded Ross to become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He resurrected the Super Soldier program and called them the Ultimates. Along with that, he was tasked with supervising Peter Parker and the X-Men. He wanted them to become part of the Ultimates. When Fury came to know about the illegal sale, he went to several Avengers to interrupt the deal. They discovered that Tyrone was directing these sales under the orders of Danvers. Fury gained the complete information from Cash just to kill him afterward. Gregory informs Fury that it was his ploy to pit the Avengers and Ultimates against each other to create a distraction to complete his evil actions. Fury, despite the intake of serum, wasn't able to combat successfully against Gregory. Gregory was quite strong, and he single-handedly was able to defeat Fury, along with all the Avengers combined. Thanks to the Hulk serum, Fury had an enhancement in his powers and abilities. He had superhuman strength, greater speed, increased agility, quick reflexes, more stamina, quick healing, and enhanced brain activity. He also had increased senses and was more sensitive to the slightest changes in his environment, making him more vigilant. He was skilled in martial arts, leadership, weapons, and was a great strategist. Blade. Blade was in the womb when his mother was bitten by a vampire. Originally Eric Brooks, Blade turned into a vampire and became known as a half-vampire. He was trained by Anthony, the vampire hunter. He fought beside Daredevil, Stick, Stone, and Shaft. They were the ones to protect Anthony and sway the danger away when Anthony was ultimately bitten by a vampire. Blade later became an established vampire hunter and trained under Stick thoroughly to become his best student. Blade was roped in by Nick Fury for his Avengers team. He was promised Deacon Frost on the condition of becoming a member. Deacon was responsible for killing Blade's mother and changing Blade's fate. During an illegal sale of S.H.I.E.L.D. super soldiers, the Avengers and Blade interrupted the whole thing. Blade successfully stopped the attacks of Tyrone Cash and hypnotized him long enough to provide a diversion. Upon interrogation, Cash told Blade that he was working for Carol Danvers. Then a major fight took place between the new Ultimates and the Avengers. Blade had just gotten a hold of Danvers when Monica Chang interrupted Blade's plan to get rid of Danvers. Blade has the power to perform hypnosis. He has hypnotized people on several occasions. He controls people's actions and minds completely. In one instance, he forced Tyrone to turn back into his human form with his vampirical abilities. Among his top abilities are his martial arts skills. He's also quite a strong swordsman, enabling him to compete against very skilled opponents. Stick, Blade's mentor, is also accredited for Blade's brilliant martial arts ability. His mental ability was as strong as his physical one. He could strategize, interrogate, plan, and intimidate his opponents quite easily. Hulk, Vampire King. He's the Nerd Hulk and was created by Dark Gregory Stark. Gregory used Banner stem cells to create Nerd Hulk. He didn't alter any intelligence quotient or physical strength factor in Nerd Hulk's reconfiguration. However, Captain America was able to defeat him easily, because Nerd remained spontaneous and not strategic in his attacks, due to his rage. When Hulk joined the Avengers, he was terrified of Red Skull and the Cosmic Cube. Initially, Hulk faced Red Skull with no fear, but it was an illusion projected by Red Skull himself. He was brutally defeated by Red Skull after that. He applied to be part of the Ultimates, however he was rejected on the first go. He was attacked during the vampire overthrow by the vampire army. This turned him into a vampire, and he began working for Anthony, the vampire army's leader. Hulk had a tracking device implant, which enabled S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers to track him continuously. He was trying along with other vampires to turn Avengers, but failed as they escaped. Hulk acted on his instincts and killed off the vampire leaders to take over his position. In the future, he also kills off Perrin during the invasion of Triskelion. Captain America stopped the evil Hulk in his tracks when he teleported the whole Triskelion to Iran and killed the vampires in broad daylight. Hulk was on the brink of death when Captain hit the final nail with the hammer on his head and killed him for good. He had the powers of a vampire after turning into one. He had the powers of Hulk, giving him extreme strength and intelligence. Gregory Stark. He's the older, more evil, immoral twin brother of Tony Stark. Gregory is more competitive and able in contrast to his brother. Gregory also wanted to inherit Stark Industries over his brother because of his strong competence. Gregory was present when all the new developments with the Avengers took place. He was in constant touch with Fury and was helping him thoroughly. Whether it was catching Captain America and bringing him back, or Captain America tackling his son Red Skull, Gregory was ever present. He also knew about Fury's intentions of instilling Red Skull against Captain America. Nick Fury wanted to regain his position at S.H.I.E.L.D., and so he employed this plot. Gregory was present during the vampire takeover by Anthony. When Nick was found out dealing in the illegal sale of super soldiers of S.H.I.E.L.D., Gregory teamed up with Danvers and new Ultimates to catch Fury. This led to Danvers' displacement by Stark, assuming the position of director of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, it was later revealed that Gregory was the mastermind behind this whole plot. He had led Fury and the Avengers and the Ultimates into a crux to further assume the directorial position. He intended to smuggle super soldiers to other states to further create a new world of his own. Gregory was responsible for killing off Fury later. Fortunately for Fury, he had taken pills that had given him the physique of the Hulk, which saved his life. However, everyone now knew about his strategies, and his twin Tony Stark defeated him. He disabled his powers with an electromagnetic pulse, after which Thor attacked Gregory with a lightning bolt. This led to Gregory's evil strategies and the Monarch plotting to an end. Gregory had superhuman strength. He was able to fight against Nick Fury, Hawkeye, and Blade, despite them being under the effect of Tyrone Cash's Hulk serum. He also had a nanite fleet like his twin Tony Stark. He had the power to stretch out a force field, which enabled him protection. He could project superhuman blasts from the palm of his hands. Along with that, he had teleporting powers, enabling him to teleport from America to North Korea in an instant. His intelligence and competence were definitely far greater than that of Tony Stark, making him more able to make intellectual decisions. Perrin. Brussels Dome was working on the regeneration of the super soldier serum. This serum had once created Captain America. This time they opted for a biomechanical path, and chose a belt and a harness. These combined would render the wearer with the powers of flight, strength, and invulnerability. The first wearer of this belt was Thorleif Goldman. He was a psychiatric nurse. After having these tests done, Thorleif started calling himself Thor God of Thunder. As his condition worsened, he was restrained to an institution till he got better. The team also kept working on the modifications of the new suit. They added weather controls and teleportation features, on the recommendation of Thorleif himself. However, at the same time, Loki was freed from Asgard prison, and brought himself to the lab instantly. He posed as a lab worker called Gunnar Goldman, who was actually Thorleif's brother. After some time, Thorleif broke out of the lab facility. Loki, or Gunnar, started to tell the institutional authorities and S.H.I.E.L.D. that Thor was a threat. He brainwashed them into thinking so, and suggested his arrest. Thor was unfortunately captured, and his superhuman suit was taken away. However, Thorleif was actually Thor God, resurrected as a powerless human. With time, he was able to bring himself back into power without the suit, and resume the role of God of Thunder. Upon Gregory's recommendation, Perrin ended up with the Avengers team, part of his asylum term to fill in the shoes of Thor. His powers come from the superhuman curated power belt, harness, and hammer. They're exact replicas of Thor's strength and abilities, and help Thorleif to execute similar actions. The hammer is responsible for teleporting Perrin, and also controlling weather. The belt and harness enable him to take flight, and lift the heaviest of items with much ease, just like Thor. His abilities as a human are quite ordinary. It's only with the superhuman equipment that he becomes the superhuman God of Thunder. Punisher. Frank Castle was one of the best NYPD officers who believed deeply in morals and values. He always took a stand for the right thing, even when it meant going against his partners. His partners were taking bribes from an underworld lord called Owl, and he chose to report them. This event led to his downfall, and practically changed his course of fate. These police officers had strong backing, and they killed his family one day randomly. This destabilized Frank and led him to become the Punisher. He started off by killing the men behind the ruthless murdering of his family. Though imprisoned, he continued to kill criminals. He finally managed to escape after a while, with Daredevil chasing him behind his back. After escaping, he chased the last guy remaining in the murder incident, Artie Gillette. Upon abrupt interruptions by Spider-Man and Daredevil, Artie escaped from the clutches of Punisher. However, they both ended up in jail again to allow Punisher his revenge. Later, Nick Fury meets up with Frank, asking him to join forces with the Avengers again. He allows him to take revenge on his cellmates. When the Avengers were busy fighting against the new Ultimates, Punisher aimed at Cap's knee to stop him in his tracks. However, Spider-Man took the bullet for Cap instead. Punisher was taken in with mounts of guilt for shooting at a child. He begged S.H.I.E.L.D. to punish him for his brutality. Castle and the Avengers were arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D., where they all took the superhuman Hulk serum to aggravate their powers. They all confronted Gregory, who was fighting against them. Punisher, however, was quite successful in defeating Gregory using his nanite powers. At the end, we witness Punisher fulfilling his deep thirst for revenge, torturing the cellmates in the prison. Frank is a normal man who had gotten the best of training as an NYPD officer. He had strong knowledge about the criminal justice system and its workings. He also had knowledge about diverse weapons and their applications. Red Wasp. Petra Laskov was a scientist and was married to Nikolai Laskov. Her husband was an ally of Red Skull's enemies and was a Georgian activist. Red Skull didn't digest this well and held her and her whole family hostage. He threatened to kill her family in front of her. Red Skull offered her two options, to either kill her husband with scissors or he'll shoot her baby. She opted for the former option and finished the job in 1 hour. However, Red Skull still wasn't satisfied. He picked up the baby and threw it outside the window. then ordered his men to rape her. He wanted to make a spectacle of the consequences of betraying him. When everyone thought she had died, she was resurrected by S.H.I.E.L.D. as a member. They gave her the codename Red Wasp and also installed a chip inside her to micromanage her movement. Under S.H.I.E.L.D., she was tasked with managing counterterrorism. She later becomes a member of the Avengers. She was involved in the arrest of the rogue Captain America. She also made plans to face AI. However, upon their arrival at AIM, they found multiple dead bodies of their men. It was discovered that the Red Skull had killed them using the Cosmic Cube's hypnosis. Red Skull recognized Petra and started to bring up the past to mock her. On one hand, the Avengers were losing the battle, and on the other hand, Red Skull kept mocking Petra. He wanted to torture her by reminding her of the past. Then Captain America arrived in a teleporter jet and defeated the Red Skull. Red Skull was admitted to the hospital, where Swarm came in disguised as a doctor and shot Red Skull dead. Since she was the Red Wasp, she was able to control innumerable insects. She was also able to fly and change her body to the size of an insect. She also had different stings for different situations. One was the Wasp sting, which paralyzed the opponent for good. The Spider. He was created by Gregory Stark in a ploy to overthrow the North Korean government. Along with other super soldiers, he was created in North Korea to shadow the United States or S.H.I.E.L.D.'s involvement. The source of his powers was quite unclear. However, there were chances of him being an amalgamated clone of both Spider-Man and Professor Xavier in the future. Being an attacker, he was subjected to constant supervision and allowed restricted movement in a cell. This hinted toward him being a prior criminal. Spider had a record of weird crimes recorded in different sources. Once he had convinced the technician to commit suicide. His habit of reading books suggested his high intelligence. We often witness Gregory calling Spider "it," making the probability of Spider being inhuman quite high. He teamed up with the Avengers to help find the Ghost Rider. His powers included webbing, whether artificial or organic was unknown. He probably would have had powers like Peter Parker. He also had psychic powers like Professor Xavier. His ability to convince people to die shows signs of manipulation and oration. Tyrone Cash, the first Hulk. Professor Leonard Williams was originally a British scientist. He was working at Cambridge University. He was also involved in the creation of the Super Soldier Serum. During the process, Bruce Banner joined in the bandwagon. Both of them shared a lot of similarities, mainly their hate for their current circumstances. Both of them had their motives to undergo a transformation. As soon as the serum was completed, William immediately took it. William turned into the first Hulk, and the predecessor of Banner. After that, he destabilized and went on a killing spree. He escaped his university premises and has been lying low for a decade and a half. Later, Williams took up the name Tyrone Cash and started his journey of ruthless killings and accumulating wealth from all over. Nick Fury found him and asked War Machine to bring Cash to him. However, Cash didn't budge easily. War Machine threatened to reveal Cash's whereabouts to his family and finally convinced him to join the Project Avengers. During the illegal sale of superhuman soldiers from S.H.I.E.L.D., it was revealed that Cash was also involved. Upon thorough interrogation, it was found that he was working for Carol Danvers. It was also revealed that Danvers had been regularly selling out S.H.I.E.L.D. secrets to the public. He was finally put to permanent silence by Nick Fury at their base camp. Tyrone had injected the Hulk serum pill, which enhanced his physical strength and altered his psychological abilities. He was quite strong, but not as strong as Hulk. His legs were very strong, which helped him make long jumps, such as jumping from one continent to the other. He was also quite adaptable to new environments. His ability to survive for long periods of time without basic necessities also added to his overall strength. His glands were able to develop oxygenated perfluorocarbon emulsion, which protected his lungs and helped him to breathe underwater for a long time. His high durability and the ability to run at 200 miles per hour were also commendable. He had high resistance against pain and injuries. His skin was prominently thick and resistant to heat, cold, or blisters. One of the main powers of Cash was his ability to regenerate his body parts. He could heal his wounds or injuries in a considerably shorter time than any normal human could. He had great intellect, which reflected in his good decision-making. He was a great scientist with a brilliant mind. His adaptation to the Hulk serum was like none other. Hawkeye. Clint Barton is a man of many traits. He was an Olympic archer and a U.S. intelligence agent. He was also sentenced to death, but was fortunately saved from it. Over time, he became close to Nick Fury, and both of them marched forward together in their lives. They were both credited with founding the S.H.I.E.L.D. intelligence agency. With time, Fury became the agency's director, and Clint managed to become the most prominent and powerful agent at S.H.I.E.L.D. He usually went on missions along with Black Widow. He also had a wife, Laura, with whom he had 3 children. Hawkeye was the most family man in the whole agency. Despite disrupted routines and lack of family time, he made sure to stay in touch with them and meet them as much as he could. When the time came, Barton showed up. Nick Fury invited him to catch the culprits and recover the superhuman soldiers and S.H.I.E.L.D. secrets back. During the Avengers battle with the New Ultimates, Hawkeye was caught up in a car. At that moment, a giant man came and crushed the car. Fortunately, Hawkeye survived and escaped with the Avengers. He also survived the serum along with the others and gained Hulk-like abilities. Clint also killed Spider during this fight. When Nick rejoined S.H.I.E.L.D., Clint came back to the Ultimates team. Hawk has also been curated from the Super Soldier plan. He has enhanced vision power. His eyes are able to view things at a larger distance. This helps him to attack targets from even a mile's distance. His ability to shoot multiple arrows faster than anyone else is commendable. He has a perfect aim and distinguished skills. He's also quite good with other weapons and has proved his capability to win in combat several times. War Machine. James Rhodes was an employee at Stark Industries. He was also a United States Air Force colonel. Over time, he became good friends with Tony and used to wear iron armor similar to Tony, which was called the War Machine. He went to all the places with Tony on his missions and meetings. Rhodes distanced himself from Tony after Tony carelessly staked both their lives fighting off the AIM forces. After that, Rhodes had cursed at Tony and talked down to him, to which Tony reacted by getting him removed from the industrial premises. During the battle with the Ultimates, Iron Man and Rhodes were evened out because of their suits. However, Rhodes crashed into a bridge and destroyed his suit. Rhodes and all the Avengers then took the Super Soldier Cash Serum, which boosted their strength. Rhodes, along with the others, joined the new Ultimates to destroy Spider. He also had a recent reconciliation with Iron Man, and both of them decided to work together on a mission. His power mainly came from the iron armor suit, which was quite similar to that of Iron Man's. Marvelous verdict. The Ultimate Universe Avengers show a very unpredictable world, where the usual pathway of actions is rarely the outcome. Our favorite heroes have been shown battling evil inside them, and mostly choosing the immoral path. Nick Fury's manipulation, Captain America's personal issues, Blade's fight against the vampires, and Gregory's evil intelligence question the audience's take on evil and good. This definitely forced us to look more deeply into things, and made us question reality several times. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.